Okay, so who is pumped for day 2? Because all content creation is going to start today. Okay, now there are a couple of things that I need you guys to understand before we get into the nuts and bolts of it. And the first one is I'm going to explain why you suck at content and why I did at the beginning too. Okay, so let me actually paint you like a little picture. So think about me back in April of 2018. That is whenever I started doing my daily Facebook Lives. And for those of you guys who don't know, Russell Brunson started ClickFunnels. Okay, so Russell Brunson has a lot of top-notch videos that explain how to do internet marketing. Okay, so let's say Russell Brunson did a funnel strategy on a whiteboard on the webinar funnel, right? And let's say I did the exact same thing. Do you think that I'm going to get as much attention as Russell Brunson? Of course not. Why? Because I am trying to compete with someone who already has a much larger audience, but has also perfected this one strategy. And so what I see so many people doing is replicating videos that other people have done really, really well in order to try to grab that attention. Okay. What you guys need to understand is that you cannot do that and expect really great results. Okay. Now, a lot of people keep asking me, Laurel, how do I do those short form videos that Alex Hormozi does, right? Everyone wants the short form, but what you guys have to understand is that those short form videos work because of the longer form content strategy and because Alex Hormozi is already a huge name in the internet marketing space. We cannot just copy the things that all of these influencers are doing and expect to gain the same result, okay? So over the next couple of days, as we're creating our content, I want you guys to start thinking, how can you make yourself stand out in a very noisy niche? Okay, because I will tell you this, and I highlighted this because I want this to be super important for you to remember, is that there's a massive opportunity. There are a lot of people doing video content, but there are still very few people who are doing it in a way that's actually going to make them money. So I want to show you guys how I made myself stand out in a very noisy niche. As most of you guys know me for Facebook ads and YouTube ads and pretty much online advertising and video marketing, right? But in the very beginning, no one really knew who I was, right? And so I was in a space, we'll just take Facebook ads, for example, because that's where I started Facebook ads. Whenever I came onto the scene, there were much larger influencers than I was, obviously. There was Dan Henry, there was Kat Howell, there was Jason Horning, there was Rachel Peterson, Adrian Richardson. There was a lot of people who had the audience that I wanted. And so I had to figure out a way to stand out in a very, very noisy niche, right? I didn't just start doing videos on how to do different types of Facebook ad strategies. I leveraged one small part of the Facebook ad strategy that I could do in my sleep and that I had perfected. For those of you guys who don't know, I worked in television from the years 2002. I know I just dated myself. In 2002, I started working in television. And in 2008 was whenever CBS decided, you know what, we need to start being more social on social media. And so we started a Facebook page and Facebook advertising was starting to become a thing. And so from 2008 all the way until I left my job in television in 2019, I had been perfecting what you guys know as my power content ad strategy. And so the way that I made myself stand out in a very noisy niche where, Dan Henry was really awesome at doing webinar ads. Rachel Peterson was really good at doing challenge and ebook ads and all of those stuff. So instead of me trying to compete with those major influencers, I carved a little audience for myself utilizing $5 ad strategies. If you go back far enough on my YouTube channel and my Facebook ad and my Facebook profile, you're going to see that I used to promote something called the poor man's Facebook ad strategy. And that was what my that's what I called my $5 a day power content strategy. Now there's some reasons why I changed the name of it, but at the beginning, that's literally how I carved my way into this space. Now, do I only teach $5 ads? No. I've been able to go out a little broader and start teaching, like webinar strategy and call funnels and everything. But again, I am making my way with some things that are very, very specific, right? Like my discovery call accelerator does quite opposite of what a lot of other people are teaching. And so that's what I'm going to challenge you guys to do as we're going through this content video series, is how can you carve your own little path in a very, very noisy forest, okay? And so, like I said, there's massive opportunity. And so one of the things that I'm going to tell you is I'm going to tell you to do something that a lot of people actually say to do the opposite, right? I'm going to actually tell you that you should go quantity over quality right now, because action times volume is going to get you better at your skill. We all suck, right? The reason that you suck right now is because we all suck in the very beginning when we're trying to carve our own path. And so what you're going to learn over the next couple of days is going to allow you to carve your own path so that your audience isn't going to see your other competition. They're going to see you as the only solution, okay? So there are two things that I observed this past Black Friday, okay? I'm not going to mention any names, but some of you guys are already going to know who I'm talking about here. But two specific things that I observed this Black Friday was I saw a $197 a month offer turn into a $1.4 million a year business. And I saw another influencer release a $47 offer that literally generated $200,000 in a single hour. Okay. Now, both of these influencers want you to believe that they had killer offers. But the thing about what happened on Black Friday, these two people didn't release killer offers. They just released an offer to their very large audience who was paying attention to them for the entire year. Okay. One of the things that I want to say right now is whether we like these people or not, that's not the point. We should ask ourselves, what can we learn from them? The common thread was that they attracted tons of attention in 2022 by putting out a large volume of content strategically, okay? I'm going to show you how to leverage to do the same thing over the next couple of days. You guys ready to do that? I know I am ready to show you that because we are going to have some fun, okay? Because what we're actually going to do today is I am going to show you my 15 pieces of content exercise. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh man, I've seen this. We're going to do it in a little bit different way and hopefully in a way that's going to be a little bit less overwhelming for you, okay? Now, I'm actually going to undo this because we're going to go over this all at once, okay? So, what is the number one reason that people don't buy? Well, it's because of lack of clarity of what they're buying, okay? So here's a formula that I learned from Dan Nicholson, who wrote the book Rigging the Game, which, by the way, I highly recommend it. But it makes sense. So anxiety equals powerlessness times uncertainty. So the reason that most people have ads anxiety is because they're suffering from powerlessness with ads and also the uncertainty of ads, okay? And so what I'm about to show you is the framework that is going to empower your audience to take action with certainty, okay? Because remember, the number one reason that people don't buy is because they are not certain on what you could deliver if they buy. And so these frameworks that we're going to do over the next couple of days are going to be able to solve this equation for your audience so that, let's say you're in the crypto niche, right? Let's say that you have a crypto mastermind. You could use this same equation, right? Crypto anxiety equals crypto powerlessness times crypto uncertainty. What type of content can you build for your audience that is going to alleviate this, okay? And there is a very awesome way that you could do it. It's fun. And so the first thing that you have to know, okay, is what is your signature framework or methodology of the offer that you're selling. And we're going to break that down into 3 steps, okay? So for instance, whenever I first started talking about this, how I made myself stand out in a very noisy niche, part of my framework has become $5 ads. Now, again, that is not the only thing that I talk about, but you could see how those $5 ads started to allow me to carve my own path to my signature framework, okay? Now, most people do this over a webinar first, but you're going to see why doing it this way first allows you to create a solid webinar VSL later for your offer, okay? But what we're going to do is we are going to start with this 15 pieces of content exercise. And I'm actually going to work this out with you because think about this, okay? Let me blow myself up here. So think about this, right? And this is something that I've been doing a lot with my private clients because as you guys know, the bigger the saturation of the market, the harder it is to actually create content that is going to attract your ideal clients because everyone is doing that same stuff, right? I'll tell you a story. So one of my agency clients, we were able to run her webinar funnel for 2.5 years, like on point. I didn't even have to look at the ads. I was getting paid to run ads that I didn't even have to look at most of the 2.5 years that we ran it, okay? Then all of a sudden, the coaching bubble pops and all of these other coaches are taking my clients' content and recreating it. And so one of the things that we did was we didn't create another webinar. We did not create another webinar. What we did was this exercise that I'm about to show you, and that became the feedback loop on how we should build that webinar funnel. We tested it with these $5 ads that we call power content, okay? Now, today we're not talking about $5 ads. We're going to talk about organic pieces of content that I still call power content. Now, we're going to learn the formula for power content, but today we have to figure out what is our power content actually going to be. So earlier, right, I told you that our 15 pieces of content is going to start with our signature framework or methodology of the offer that we're selling broken down into 3 steps, okay? So for instance, one of the things that I teach in not only my Lean on Laurel program, but also my $7 program is my $500 a month video funnel, okay? That could be broken down into 3 frameworks or pillars, right? So if I were doing a webinar, I would teach that, hey, it starts with power content that goes into these Client Accelerator 2-step posts and then $2 retargeting ads. These are the 3 pillars of my signature framework, okay? Now, these are going to be the 3 buckets, right? So we're going to have 3 buckets. Some of you guys might have 5 pillars in your signature framework. That is okay. You're going to end up having 25 you're going to have 25 topics instead of 15. Okay. Now, right now, the only thing that I want you to do is write down what are those 3 pillars of your signature framework or methodology. So for me, bucket number 1 is $5 power content video ads. Bucket number 2 are my 2-step posts. And then bucket number 3 are my $2 retargeting ads, okay? So now what we're going to do, because you're probably like, Laurel, well, those are only 3 pieces of content, okay? Now, the next step that we're going to do is because I could probably do an entire hour workshop on just $5 power content ads. What I want you guys to remember is that people will only remember 10% of what you say in a video, okay? People will only remember 10% of what you say in a video. So if I were to do an entire video on just power content ads, people would only remember 10%. They would probably only remember that power content are 3 to 5 minute videos. They probably would not remember anything else other than that. And so I'll give you an example of what I think. So I'll blow myself up again. So one of my students, he's a fitness coach, and he was struggling with putting too much content into one piece of video. And so what I want you guys to understand is that each power content video needs to have either one milestone or just one aha that people take away that they're going to be able to go and implement. Okay, that is the way that I've designed power content. And so he's a fitness instructor. And so I told him, I said, think about the one question that so many people come into your gym, ask you, what do they want to accomplish? And he was like, well, most of them, and this was back in 2019, it was 2018, 2019, where planking was kind of like a big thing. I mean, it still is a big thing, but you guys get the picture. And I was like, cool, so your clients want to learn how to plank in 5 minutes. I was like, that's going to be your power content pieces. He's like, so go do a video on how to plank. I was like, let me ask you this question. If you do a 3 to 5 minute video showing people how to plank for 5 minutes, will that person be able to go and plank for 5 minutes? And he was like, well, no, they have to learn the proper form, and then they have to learn the extensions. And I was like, cool. You could probably do a 15 pieces of content exercise just on your planking framework. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys that example because it is such a very simple example of what we're trying to do here. Okay. Because remember, people will only remember 10% of what you say in a video. And what we want to do is make sure that these people are getting clarity, right? If we go back up here, the number one reason that people don't buy is lack of clarity on what they're buying. And so we're actually going to use this 15 pieces of content exercise as a framework. And then as the next couple of days go on, I'm going to actually show you how you never have to do this exercise ever again, but you're going to be able to have an infinite number of content pieces. You guys down with that? So we just have to do the hard work today. And then over the next couple of days, I'm actually going to show you guys how to leverage the work that we've already done here and have an infinite amount of pieces of content. You guys game? Okay. So let's go ahead and break down this 15 pieces of power content. So right now, pause this video, get out a Google Doc. Okay. I want you guys to write bucket number 1, and I want you to write your very first your very first pillar to your signature methodology. Okay. I want you to write bucket number 2, the second pillar to your framework, and so forth. Okay. Mine has 3. Most of you guys probably are going to have 3 to 5. Okay. So if you have 4, make 4 buckets. So you have 5 buckets, make 5 buckets. Okay. Now what I'm actually going to do is I am going to break down my $5 power content process into 5 micro step videos. Okay. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write down what are 5 micro steps that people need in order to understand the $5 power content video ad. So the very first thing that people need to know is what type of content do they need to create. So I am going to write down 15 pieces of content exercise. Okay. Let me do that. And so what is the second thing that people have to understand? Well, power content has a very specific formula. So I'm just going to write down the formula. Okay. Then number 3, value bombs, the CTA. And then I am going to write the last part, which is 2 hacks that will keep content in the news feed. Okay. So those are 5 micro videos or milestones that people need to know in order to do a $5 power content video ad. Okay. Because remember, we want to give people one small thing that they can implement after watching each of these videos. Okay. Now, do you see how like I could have done just a one video on the power content ads, but now I'm breaking down the individual steps that people need and the milestones they need to hit in order to accomplish this first pillar. Okay. So next thing we're going to do the same with bucket number 2, and we're going to do the same thing with bucket number 3. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So then you're going to be able to see that we're starting to create these 15 pieces of content. And so now you're going to be able to teach not only the pillars of your signature program, but you're going to have it in digestible ways that people can get clarity on what they're trying to do. And your thought right now is, Laurel, are you giving away all of the pieces of your signature framework and all of the program? Like, why would people buy from me? They're still going to need your help in implementing. This is going to give people clarity on the steps that they're going to need to achieve in order to get the success that you are promising. They're not going to be looking at your videos as, oh gosh, let me go watch all of these videos and I don't have to pay Tina anything, or I don't have to pay Jeremy anything. Like, I got all of his videos, right? Like, most of you guys right now are not saying, oh, you know what? I'm not going to spend $1,000 a month because Laurel's already given me all of this stuff. I've got 50 people inside my Lean on Laurel program paying me $1,000 a month to be able to execute this. You guys do not pay for the information. You guys are paying for my help in accelerating the process that you get results. And so you really have to get over like being so scared to give away free content. I had a student that emailed me the other day, messaged me. I don't use email. That's a whole other story. But I had a student who messaged me and she said, Laurel, I am done giving away free content. She's like, my students, my prospects don't value it and all this stuff, and I'm just done. And I said, whoa. I said, you might want to be careful there, and to each their own. Like, if you guys think that, you're giving away too much free content or whatever, then this video training is not for you. Shut it off and go get another strategy. But here's my macro belief is that the more free content that my prospects consume, the more perfect client they become for me. And it saves me headaches, right? Think about this. The fact that you guys are getting this video series for only $7 a month is going to save me so much time. When a portion of you guys are going to come into Lean on Laurel, you guys are going to already understand the basic fundamentals and how to execute that. You're only going to need my help in me helping you execute that. I don't have to spend time teaching all of this stuff. And so Lean on Laurel is an accelerated path because you guys already come into that program understanding these steps. It's bringing you clarity, right? That's the number one reason people don't buy is because they lack clarity on what they're buying. Everyone who comes into my Lean on Laurel program already knows the steps they have to take. They just need my help taking those steps, okay? So today's assignment is on a Google Doc. I want to see your 15 pieces of content or your 20 pieces of content or your 25 if you have 5 pillars. But this is going to be the assignment today. Now, don't worry about creating fancy hooks or anything. That is going to be in another video. I just want you to write down your 3 pillars and then break those 3 pillars down into micro-sized content pieces, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I know we had a kind of a short lesson today, 24 minutes. I'm going to keep most of the lessons to 24 minutes. I know day 1 ran a little bit long, but I think that day 1 was a very important day to really branch out who's really ready for this type of training and who's not. And so if you're watching this video now, you're in the right place. And I cannot wait to hear about the 7-day journey. And I cannot wait to see what's in store after 90 days of execution. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say goodbye for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.